welcome to the 49th country on my travel list, Chile. It's the narrowest country in the world and has a variety of landscapes, from the Atacama Desert to the Bruggen Glacier to a stunning coastline. Chile is a part of the volcanic zone called the Ring of Fire, so it gets earthquakes and aftershocks all the time, which was a bit like my initial impression of the people in its capital, Santiago. I found people here very direct, almost borderline rude. Have you ever heard that Chileans can be a bit rude? I noticed their direct tone during my visit. What does their manner of speaking tell us about Chile's people? This country has lived through a ruthless military dictatorship and still agitates frequently for a more equal society. How have these factors influenced Chileans and their ways of interacting with others? There are three major elements of Chile's history that matter. Its biggest indigenous people, the Mapuche. Its survival of a ruthless military dictatorship for 17 years and the massive gap between the rich and the poor in this country. I will demystify this while I explore the vast capital city, one of the oldest urban areas of South America. I want to prepare those planning to visit this country about its cultural differences from other places. And I'm going to bring you an adventurous activity that you can do while sightseeing in Santiago. Chile formed the final leg of my extensive journey through Argentina, Uruguay, and this country. I have gone on a challenging hike to Patagonia's mountain peaks and have also toured Uruguay, the safest and freest country in the Americas. You can find out all about these places on my channel. For now, let me tell you what I discovered about the people of Chile. My initial experience of Chile was anything but rude. Actually, I found my first port of stop easygoing and pleasant. I went to Chile from Argentina to complete the W trek of Torres del Paine. This is a well-known Patagonian hike that pushed me to my limits. My first stop was the gateway to this hike, Puerto Natales, a small scenic city. Hiking done, I was set to return to the US from Santiago, Chile's capital. I set off for the airport early to use the wait time to catch up on my work.
Ciao, amigo.
Yes, muchas gracias.
Ciao,
Ciao.
ciao.
Bye bye. But I found myself a little stranded, not a person in sight, nor any Wi-Fi. There's like literally nobody, like zero personnel. Maybe this was a bad idea because they won't be here till like 3:30 and right now it's noon. So I have 3.5 hours and I can't leave my bag here either. So what am I gonna do now? Thankfully, help was around the corner. So the cleaning lady was really nice. She asked somebody and I was asking her if there may be a bus going to the Natales area to downtown. And she asked somebody and he says, yeah, give me 15 minutos. And then he could just drop me to Natales and I could give him a tip. That'd be awesome. So we are leaving here from this airport because of a wonderful gentleman who has a 5-year-old kid as well. I saw the car seat in the trunk, so we kind of connected on that level as well. He just works here and you know, he offered to drive me to Central. Strangers helping you out when you're on a solo trip can make your day. Really nice Chilean people, like this really beautiful looking hotel. Hiking that I did on the W Circuit day 1, which is a story if you want to watch that. While walking around the city, I spotted a famous seafood restaurant and I decided to treat myself to a platter. I've come here to this beautiful restaurant and this is very famous for its seafood. And check out this drink. Wow, look at this. Nothing I've had like this before. Seafood from this country is a popular global delicacy. The country exports high-grade fish fillet, salmon fillet, and canned mussels to the world. The fresh catch platter that I ordered was nothing short of amazing.
A little bit bland for my taste, but that's okay. The flavor is nice, and then the butter, I think it's worth trying. Seafood in this place, very important.
Ever tried an avocado or guacamole sauce? Chile exports some of the best avocados in the world. With such a pleasant experience of a day out in Puerto Natales, my expectation from my trip to Santiago were high, and my first interactions with people didn't disappoint. I checked into a hostel in Santiago where I met a group of fellow travelers. We decided to explore the nightlife of the city. Chileans love to party, and Saturday night was buzzing here. People party till early hours of the morning here, and everyone seems to be having a great time.
Good morning, guys. Today is my first morning in Santiago, Chile. Last night was fun. We went to a salsa dance club, and then we just roamed around and finally came back. I was able to see the vibe of the city. It was really beautiful.
I set out to explore the city with my favorite way of discovering a new place, taking a walking tour. Only this time, I found a guide who had some restrictions in place.
Hi, are you coming
Hello.
to the tour?
Yes.
Do you have a booking?
Yes.
Could you please stop recording?
Yes.
Because in Chile, you have to ask permission before.
Okay, got it.
His manner felt like a shock.
This makes the Chilean people very direct and sometimes borderline rude. We noticed that with the guide, even though he's working for tips, he said, hey, you can't record without permission. I mean, as if anybody cares.
Our guide might have been a tad bit rude, but he definitely knew his way around his country's history. I was curious to find out more, and a walk down the colonial district was a good place to start. Stories of a city are often embedded in its historic buildings, and this was a chance to experience Chile's journey after it became independent.
Hey guys, the first stop is the Church of San Francisco. This is an important building that has survived many earthquakes because it's built of limestone and egg white. Spanish came here and built it. So this way you see the Parliament of Chile, but this parliament is not functional.
Chile fought against Spanish colonizers from the start. Unlike Argentina, Peru, or Brazil, it never let its colonial masters settle down. Gaining independence in 1818 under military leader Bernardo O'Higgins, Chile continued to wage wars, such as taking over nitrate-rich lands from Peru and grabbing Mapuche lands with the pacification of Araucania in 19th century. While the country gained territory and resources, it lost sight of crucial factors like democratic governance and social justice. This is the first major factor that has influenced Chile, the massive income gap between minority of the rich or the elite and the difficult circumstances of the majority poor. The rich keep getting richer and most people keep living on sparse resources. It's been a historic problem. Until the end of World War II, the country faced routine political instability. Governments came and went, with none lasting long, even those aiming to reduce the power of Chile's elite. When I say Chile's elite, I mean a small group of super wealthy people making up 10% of the population but owning over 85% of its resources. Chile has the world's biggest copper reserves, second biggest lithium reserves, and massive amounts of nitrate along with vineyards. It is rich, but people don't have access to free education in schools or public health care. There are no pensions either, but the elite's control over Chile remains steady. The scale of these people's control over state resources becomes clear when you explore its colonial architecture.
You can see that there's a lot of this French architecture all over, and the reason for that is not because the French people came here, but it's because of the fascination of the elite class who were ruling the country after the independence in 1818.
What happens when so much of a country is owned by so few? The government struggles to succeed. As Chile remained politically unstable, the United States stepped in with loans after World War II to counter communism. But Chileans historically resist foreign domination. In the 1970s, Salvador Allende became the first Marxist president in Latin America, introducing social reforms, free school meals, and public health care. The United States, under President Nixon, didn't want him in power. US secret agents sabotaged Allende's government with strikes, food shortages, and stagnant trade, causing economic chaos. When Allende still won the 1973 elections, the CIA backed a military coup, and General Augusto Pinochet took charge. Chile then entered its darkest phase. Experiences of history remain painful for locals.
Dictatorship in Chile is, oh my god, the most uncomfortable topic to talk in public, because you never know if the person in front of you was affected by the dictatorship. You never know if the person in front of you was one of their supporters. They had many supporters. So in Chile there is a very big division about the dictatorship of this country.
When a country has faced several political repression, mutual mistrust among its people tends to grow. For a person that hasn't spoken freely for nearly 2 decades, do you think being friendly will come naturally? I doubt that.
The culture of the Mapuche people was very strong, and it was matriarchal society, and that's why Chile is one of the countries where you would see a lot of feminism and equal rights, which is very unique.
My last activity in Chile clarified the perceived rudeness I faced. Locals aren't rude, they're direct and helpful. My final activity on this trip to South America was a bike ride to the top of San Cristobal Hill, the highest vantage point from which you can view all of Santiago. I booked this bike ride through Airbnb Experiences, where Fabio, the guide and organizer, offered to come along with me and help me experience the local elements of this. It cost me $20. Fabio wanted a good rating for his work, and his friendly, eager demeanor made my journey quite enjoyable.
Finally, top of the hill, we made it.
Riding to the top offers you glimpses of Santiago. Gatorade promotions event brought refreshing energy drinks.
So there's a nice Gatorade stall here. Thank you, thank you. So that's how we broke the fast.
And I met fellow bikers who were determined to pedal right to the top, just like me. The view from the peak was breathtaking.
The top of Santiago, this beautiful spot where you have views for all the different sides, 360 degrees. I'm so glad that I was able to take this tour with Fabio. So if you come to Santiago and you want to spend some time at this beautiful, serene, and a very amazing place, then definitely hit him up so that he can take you as well. I'm gonna put a link down in the description. Great job, Fabio. High five. Thank you.
On our way back, we got a chance to try out Motte.
So on the way back, a very important experience is having a motte. Once you've done your bike tour, then you come to this shop and try the famous Chilean motte. Motte is a very sugary drink, so it's not the healthiest, but it's really good. And because I've burned these calories while biking, I am giving myself permission to have it.
It was thick and a bit too sweet for me. Fabio didn't just come along for the ride. He also dropped me off at a local currency exchange store.
So Fabio has offered to drive me to Cambio. This is so cool. Or maybe just show me how to go.
When it was time to leave Chile, I realized that people in this country are not rude. They're just frank and straightforward. Their recent history has been painful, and they are grappling with a process of complicated reform and reconciliation. Chile is beautiful and wealthy, but just like its economic data can be misleading, first impressions of people might also be incorrect. People in Chile want to be a part of their country's progress and want fair treatment, and I have no beef with that. I have visited some of the most wonderful places of South America to explore natural wonders and take on the challenges of a Patagonia trek. I went to see the fascinating city of Ushuaia, often called the city at the end of the world. You can find out all about its attractions in this video. I have also taken a deep dive on the origins and history of indigenous people of this region in this video. You can find out more about Patagonia on my channel.